June 26th, 2025. Why is that date important? I'll tell you why, ladies and gentlemen. That is the date that we had the release of the Order 66 raid. It's been over a year, ladies and gentlemen. We are now the 27th of July. So, literally, we are, 13 months since the release of the Order 66 raid, and we know that generally speaking, CG wants to go for this roughly 12-month period between raids, so that we're, keeping things a little bit fresh, whilst also introducing new challenges and new games when they come around. By games, I mean game modes, new raids, and stuff like that, obviously. So, we're just over that threshold, and Meathead has already said the team are working on a raid, but what does this actually mean for us, the players? We could see this post from just a couple of days ago from Meathead, and I know other content creators have already covered this. The team is working on a new raid. I have no information to provide folks this time. When I get news, I will post it on the forums. That is to be decided. Okay, so let's get through a couple of assumptions that we can make about an upcoming raid. My concern is this raid is probably not going to come this year. The reason I'm saying that is because, generally speaking, we get about a 3-month tail before a raid is announced to when it goes live. If we were to look back last year to when we were getting the Order 66 raid, it happened with the release of, I believe, just at the end of the era of the Cavalry, when Bad Batch, the new Bad Batch, came to the game. We had the announcements around what was going to be the next era, which was the era of Revenge of the Sith, and they spoke about the Dark Side clones and the Jedi Vanguard faction, and how all that was going to tie into an Order 66 raid. It was a big moment, it was big, it was huge, it was hype, people were stoked for it. It was a really solid time in this game, if you ask me. So, with that in mind, we know that generally speaking, we get about a 3-month lead from announcement to release, because at that period in time, we were going into sort of April-May period, and then the release of the raid came at the end of June. With that in mind, Meathead is talking about the fact that they are working on a raid. The fact that he has nothing else to say about the matter, there's no announcement that we got with the start of this era, the one that we're about to go into tomorrow, which is of course the era of myths and legends. There's no mention of anything here around these units being required for an upcoming raid. There's absolutely no mention in the previous era, or the one that we're just about to finish up now. You can see, look, we've got a whole 1 day and 2 hours until the end of the era of the New Republic. None of these mentioned anything. None of these marquees mentioned anything about being used in the new raid, okay? Which tells me the new raid is either very bare bones or does not have much done to it at this point in time. I reckon next era, we will probably see some sort of announcement about the new raid, and it will take them 3 months from then. So, 6-month period basically is what I'm expecting for us to experience before the new raid drops. Now, this is both good and bad, ladies and gentlemen. It's good because, well, let's be honest, it gives us an extra 6 months of being able to use our maxed out teams, if you happen to have had them, within the Order 66 raid. It means you don't need to put any further investment into your Dark Side clones, into your Jedi Vanguard, into your pirates, etc, etc. You can just continue to get the top end rewards that you've probably been getting for quite some time, hitting that max box, potentially even hitting the max personal box, because raid rewards are phenomenal rewards and definitely are something that you should be chasing on an ongoing basis. So the fact that we've probably got another 6 months, and I'm saying probably because I have no inside information here, I do not know the inside track with when a new raid is coming. I'm just telling you based on, experience and maybe a little bit of educated guessing, or just pure speculation. You can call me complete nonsense if you like, but I don't think we're seeing it anytime soon. So, plus side, we do get to enjoy this raid for a little while longer. Obviously, there are also some downsides to that. What would I suggest are the downsides right now? Right now just means that we have to continue plugging away at the Order 66 raid. Now, in my personal opinion, the Order 66 raid is actually quite a good balance of complexity and speed that we've got introduced to the raiding system. If we were to go back and check the Battle for Naboo, when that first released, it was an absolute monster of a raid that would take, each run would take like half an hour. It was painful to go through. Not because it was mechanically bad per se, but there was too much RNG involved with it. By the end of the Battle of Naboo's life cycle, CG had managed to adjust a lot of the RNG and fixed quite a lot of the problems with the raid, so it was still a little bit quicker. Still took too much time per run, but generally speaking, you had less RNG and you were able to complete it fairly consistently. So Naboo just wasn't all that great. Order 66, on the other hand, the only RNG that really gets involved in the Order 66 raid is when you start trying to underman teams. When you're going in with Pirate King Hondo and OG Hondo. When you're going in, Tarkin Scorch is really reliable, I'll be honest. If you were using the triple clones, or maybe you were using Jedi Vanguard Trio, anytime we try to underman the team, there is introduced an element of RNG, an element of randomness that stops you from being able to complete that raid 100% of the time, right? So, for the most part, this is actually a pretty consistent raid. And it is actually quick. It's nowhere near taking 20 minutes per run. You can go in and get a run done very, very quickly. And usually any RNG that's involved happens in the first 20 seconds. You just need to complete that first wave, and then usually you're going to be okay for the entirety of the rest of the raid, and you can get it done bish bash bosh real good nosh. If we were to go back even further and look at the speeder bike raid, that was too simplistic on the other side of the spectrum. Number of issues it raised. One, you needed to mod your units completely differently to the standard modding that's required for those units, which meant remodding rosters lots and lots for silly stats. Two, there were like two strats. You had basically, your Imperial Trooper and your Ewok or your Rebel to just ramp up damage. And you did that for like 7 teams, and then you had the Leia solo. Outside of that, there was no real strategy because all of the kit's unique descriptions or unique abilities that each of the characters brings to the table was completely stripped back. The benefit of it was quick and it was easy and it was accessible to most people. Unfortunately for me, it made for a very boring raid. And I love raids. I've got so many different raid video guides out there. I love going in, I love breaking them down, I like finding the teams, and I like posting the videos and basically watching the community come together to come up with strategies to beat the raids to get maximum points at the various different sort of barriers to entry. So I'm hoping that we get the new raid this year, but I have a feeling we are probably not going to see it. Maybe, and I say this very tentatively speaking, maybe we will see something for the very end of the year. I don't know if you're aware, but during December, there is actually a short era. We usually have a truncated one that only goes up to about the middle of December, and then CG tend to go away on their holidays or their vacation, as you call it in America, and we don't see them for about a month. And that's absolutely fine. Everybody deserves some time off. That's cool. Gives us all a time to reset and rebuild up our resources ready for a year's worth of new marquees, legendary events, and all that good business, right? There is a chance that during that month of December, we maybe get a new raid launch. Maybe. I don't have a whole lot of hope for it, and I have a feeling that any new raid that we get released will have a similar release cadence to what we had for the Order 66 raid, which is to say, we are probably going to get units released for that raid that don't exist just yet, or when it even launches. Like we had the pirates systematically coming out months after the raid had been introduced, and that wasn't a bad thing because there were actually so many short man teams, and this raid has lasted longer than most raids do, so we were able to recoup the investment there. It's not been a terrible, terrible thing. I've seen people saying, is it going to be a Death Star raid? That is the annual theory craft that we get from Arnold, right? Could this be the year of the Death Star raid? Who knows? Maybe. Maybe one day they'll reintroduce that and we'll get some ship raids and everybody will be probably miserable. Let's be honest, probably miserable, but that's okay. Now, there is one other thing that I do want to touch on when it comes to the raid. And I think this is probably something that we should all be expecting to see in the brand new raid. I wish I had an active raid right now so I could actually go in, and it would be a little bit easier for us to show this. Shout out to Mora Rhodium, by the way, great guild. Right, okay, let's go over here. Guild activity, let's go. So what I wouldn't be surprised to see is in the next raid, I would be not too shaken if we see further developments in reward boxes. And the reason I'm saying this is because since the last raid, we have had a lot of time to get a lot more Relic 9 units. Back when they released the Order 66 raid, they were talking about introducing additional tiers of rewards for Relic 9 and above. Right now, when we look at the personal track, when we look at the guild rewards, you only need to get an average of 10.4 million per person to max out the guild box, okay? 10.4 million. The total points that you can get per character, per player in a guild is actually 18 million. 3.6 million times the 5 teams that we get to use basically is 18 million points. So neither the personal track nor the guild reward tracks really incentivize us to push further. Not only that, we now have Relic 10. Relic 10 pushes the envelope even further when it comes to what is achievable in raids. I would not be surprised in the slightest if we see increased reward tracks for both guild and personal, as well as a new base tier of difficulty that accommodates Relic 10. Yes, I do think that this will happen, and I still maintain that I think Relic 11 is probably coming this year as well when we see era-based PvP content come to the game. That's another separate. No, I don't think we see Era PvP now until next era. I think they're just pushing it back. They're delaying it until it's ready to go. And I do think that's going to come with introduction of either new types of era currencies, such as, you know, maybe Era Currency Mark II or something like that. That'll let you get Relic 11 gear pieces and that sort of thing, but that's not really the focus of this particular video. Now, before we finish up here and wrap up, in a video I did on Friday last week, I spoke about the Darth Jar Jar era that we're about to start and how to best go about doing it. I'll link that at the end of this video anyway, but as part of that video, I did host a giveaway, and today I'm selecting 5 winners that are going to win either an Era Pass or 5 pulls of the upcoming marquee unit, Mara Jade Skywalker. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's announce some winners. First up, Denise. Denise over here, ally code 742885654. I'm going to send you a message in-game right now, and I'm going to say congratulations. Congratulations, you have won. Have won. Let me know what you want. Era Pass. Oh, Episode Pass, sorry. Or Shards of Mara Jade Skywalker. There we go, ladies and gentlemen, our first winner. I'm going to be doing this for another 4 winners. Let's get them all up here. Winner number 2 is going to be Xaereth 574346455. Let's also send that same message over to Xaereth. Congratulations to you, Xaereth. Congrats on winning. Episode Pass or Mara Jade Shards. All right, next up, we've got Quack-a-Lack-in Skyflyer, which is a great name, by the way, of the Merciless Marauders, 245163392. You two have won yourself some rather wonderful rewards, either an episode pass or some shards. Winner number 4 then is Potato Man of the Toasted Guild. Congratulations to you. And our final winner of the day is Jimmy Jam 13 of the Church of Wicket. I almost want to take this guy's rewards away. No, I cannot let my hatred of Ewoks get in the way of a good reward. So I encourage all of our lucky winners of that video to go ahead and check your inboxes. Let me know what rewards you want, because that's how I'm going to be able to get them to you. Amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could, please like this video, give me a comment down below if you are excited for an upcoming raid or you think it's too far away. And I will see you all in the very next video. Peace out, and may the Force be with you.